Attention, all students. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Bonsoir, tout le monde, et bienvenue. This is Victor Alpha 3, Charlie Juliet Zulu, opening the Amateur Radio Exchange Group, AREG, for Wednesday, August the 16th, 2023. This is week 1561, that's weeks, 1,561 weeks. And I'd like to point out that when we get to 1,564 weeks in 3 weeks' time, that will be the 30th anniversary of the Amateur Radio Exchange Group. Started off by John, the founding father, VE3JSU, John Sims. Started out in Dundas and now has since retired and moved up to Manitowaj, Ontario. My name is Chuck, and my station is located in East Hamilton. This net is on every Wednesday night, starting at 8 p.m. and ending around 10 p.m. local time here on 146.430. Since this is a Simplex Net, not everyone will be able to hear everyone else. So I've decided to stream the net on YouTube so people who tune in can hear other stations that they can't normally hear through the radio, or they're just too far away and would like to listen in on YouTube. So just put in my call sign in VA3CJZ in the YouTube search and look for us live. Tonight we will have the title AREG Week 1561. So you can join us there. And let's see now. Finally, we ask that you please leave a 1 to 2 second delay between transmissions to allow other stations to break in. And before I begin taking check-ins, I'd like to pose a question. We had the 20-year anniversary of the blackout that affected most of North America, Eastern North America, and many, many millions of people were out of power. And so my question is, where were you when the blackout happened, and what did you do? And so give you some time to think about that. And so let's begin by taking check-ins for tonight's Amateur Radio Exchange Group. This is VA3CJZ. Please come now.
KYY.
Okay, I heard 2 out of the 3 stations there. I heard AXJ, and then there was a doubling with someone, and then I heard KYY. Who's the other station?
Well, you should have heard IMW and KCI. V3JGK.
And I heard VE3JGK as well, and IMW and KCI. Okay, very good. Let's start off with that. VA3AXJ. Rick, come on in.
Good evening, Chuck. Not much to say. It's really bad week last week. That's why I wasn't on. I was not in a very good mood. I got some shots to my back there a week ago Monday, I think it was. I got to go back on this Monday for some steroids. They put 6 needles in and they used the can't think of it now. Anyhow, yeah, it's been bad. It's been a bad week.
Oh, well, sorry to hear that, Rick. I know I go for my my procedure. What's it called again? Called a rhizotomy, I think it's called. Anyways, they put a needle in the affected area of my spinal cord, and then they cauterize the nerve endings, and that's coming up August 25th, next Friday. So I can't wait to get that done and get some relief on my back. It's really been affecting my quality of life. And so, yeah, back problems and getting older seem to go hand in hand. as well as many other problems. But we got to keep on keeping on.
Yeah, I put Atlanticane in 6 different spots. It seemed to work for a couple of days, but then it was just right back to where it was before, eh? So I got the steroid. I got them now, so I just got to take a vial up with me and go from there. And I'm being sued, and well, yeah, it's been a really bad week, man. Really, really bad.
Okay, well, if that's the case, then things can only get better. Then, Rick, listen, you gonna stick around with us, or you taking off?
I'll be here till at least 9 o'clock. Uh, yeah, on this day, I gotta hear that. I missed it last week, so that may be mad too. But anyhow, other than that, yeah, I'll stick around for as long as I can. Probably about maybe 9:30. I'll be gone. I'll let you know though.
Okay, very good, Rick. Please do jump in there whenever you're ready to take off, or if you have a comment or question or anything like that, just break in. So thanks again, Rick. And let's go down the list and say hi to Mac, I believe, who's next, VA3IMW. And I'm hoping he'll relay for VE3 Kilo Charlie India.
Absolutely. I'll do my best there, Chuck. Victor Alpha 3, India Mike Whiskey. Beautiful day, beautiful day. And today was a work from home day. And I actually have it scheduled to do that again tomorrow. So I won't turn into a pumpkin too early in the evening. Anyways, yes, I did hear Art follow me in the back door. And thanks for reaching out there. Let's see, what do we got going on? Been playing around a little bit on 40 and 20 meters, and reached out to one of my favorite guys down south on 15 meters earlier tonight, David Lama. It's always good to say hi to him. But band conditions on HF haven't been all that bad over the last couple of days. So it's nice to hear things a little bit quieter. Obviously, the solar numbers are low, but going hand in hand with that, the noise levels have been somewhat reduced. So you kind of take one with the other, and maybe you can talk to a few people. Other than that, let me reach out to our friend up the road here, VE3 KCI. Good evening, Art. You're front and center.
No, I can't hear him.
Yes. You know, when you work, when you live in a box that has all kinds of stuff going on, you've got plasma TVs and LED TVs and LED lights from all of your neighbors. I can just imagine what the noise is like up there, Art. My heart goes out to you.
No copy on Art tonight.
Another radio. What is the other radio over and above the FD 991 and the 7300? You're going to have a radio store up there soon. Okay. To bed, like pack it away, or to bed, like up for sale? Okay, yeah, tuck it in nice and cozy. All right, then. So you're going to stick around for a little while and listen to people as much as possible, or are you one and done tonight?
Ziggy, show front yard cam.
Yeah, roger that. Okay, well, Chuck, Art's given you the best of the day, and he's going to try and listen along for as long as possible. He's not hearing much. He does have quite a bit of noise from that big metal box that he lives in up here on the mountain. But nonetheless, he'll obviously be able to hear a few of us. So he's going to stick around as long as possible. He is waiting on another Icon radio to arrive, and perhaps look at some alternatives for antennas. And once his other radio arrives, he's going to be putting his FD991A to bed, tucking it into a nice, safe place for some day in the future. Other than that, Chuck, did you have any messages you wanted to pass on to Art?
Well, first of all, Mac, thank you so much for relaying for me. Unfortunately, this evening I have zero copy on Art. I do get an S1 noise level come up when he does key up, but no audio coming through. I was aware that Rick went and visited Art and set him back up again to be able to transmit. As I heard, he had some issues previously. Somehow he wasn't able to transmit before, but now he is. So that's good. And you know what? Those three, I think the other radio coming is a 7100. And so he's going to have like three of the best radios out there in a lot of people's minds. And so good for him. Can't wait for him to get that one. So pass that on for me to Art. And we're all excited for him to get his newest new radio. And so please tell him thanks for checking in.
B3BK.
All right. Well, hang on a second there, Rick. And yeah, so Art, Chuck is sending his best wishes along with hopes that your new radio, the 7100, will arrive in short time, and hopefully it will satisfy your needs. And other than that, we'll turn it back to Chuck, and I think Rick wants to probably get in touch with Art. So I'll send it back to Net Control first.
Okay, very good, Mac. Thanks again. We'll get back around to everybody shortly. So let's bring in Rick real quick there. Rick, do you have something to jump in there? Come on in.
Yeah, okay, thanks for letting me in, and hello to everybody on frequency. And of course, Art, you're coming through here really good. I'm hearing you, no problem at all. If you're getting noise, I think you turn the top right knob to the right a little bit, and that's squelch. That'll maybe get rid of some of the noise there. So I don't know if that's what it is or not, but it could be noise in the building too, who knows. Anyway, so back to you, Art, B3KCI, B3BK. Yeah, okay, very good. Well, we'll turn back to Net, and yeah, keep up the good work, Chuck. We missed you on Monday, and I know you said you were busy, so anyway, no problem. Summer months, you never know. We're lucky to get anybody checking in. Anyway, over to you there, Chuck, BA3CJZ, B3BK.
QSL, that's right. I was only able to check in with Marty there. I had to take off. The wife is on vacation this week, and so we're spending more time together, and that means less time for me to be on the radio. And, you know, vacations are short, so we're trying to, spend as much time together as we can. And speaking of which, we set up the tent in the backyard, and last night there or yesterday, pouring rain. Went to look in there today, and we found out that the tent leaks. So we're going to have to throw the tarp back up on top of that tomorrow. and we actually used some waterproofing spray there today. And by tomorrow, it should be all cured and dried up inside the tent fibers. So, anyways, yeah, we did a good thing. We didn't sleep in the tent last night. Would be paddling. So, okay, thanks, Rick. We'll get to you in a minute there, my friend. So please stand by. Let's say hello to George next. VE3KYY. Come on in.
Evening, Victor Echo 3. Kilo,
Okay, George. Well, thanks for taking the time out and checking in with us, sir. We do have a little bit of noise coming in with you, and of course, we always have to have those unlicensed people there playing around with the bowfangs. So, but anyways, George, I'll say thanks. I got you coming in here at an S4 with a little bit of noise, sir. Anything else? Okay. Well, you are a fair distance away there, and I'm not getting the benefits that our pad there. Being closer to the escarpment, sometimes you get some reflection off the side of the escarpment, which helps with the signal there. So I don't get that where I am here by the center mall, but nonetheless, good job, George. Thanks for checking in, sir. Much appreciated.
Comment.
Okay, the first comment, Mac, go ahead.
Yeah, just a quick note for George. As usual, somewhere between an S8 and an S9 signal coming in from your station up there in the beautiful land. Good to hear you on the radio as well. 7-3, so I'll turn it back to Chuck.
Okay, very good, Mac. I don't know who the other comment was, but please come forward.
Yeah, that would be RPAD, Victor Echo 3, November Whiskey. And actually, I did hear George. I'm out in the park, right by the CHCH tower, I guess, and where I usually hiding. And I'm surprised I could able to hear him. And he was coming in with no signal. I'm standing on the top of the bench. I could not able to hear him 2 feet lower, but I heard him fine. So very good. Back to you, Chuck.
Okay, very good, RPAD. Yeah, you're coming in here at an S9. So standing up on the bench is only an extra 2 feet, I would say. But it makes a big difference when you can't hear someone. So very good. You're able to hear George there standing on your tippy toes. If you were a little bit shorter, it might not work.
Yeah, roger that. Maybe if you would ask George, how did he receive Mark and me?
Okay, very good then. Let's see. VE3KYY, RPAD said he can hear you. He's up by the CH tower, but he's in a park and he had to stand up on the bench in order to hear you. Could you hear him? And then next we'll go to Mac.
Sorry, I put the squelch on. I could hear something in there, but
Okay, George, there you go. RPAD, no copy on you from George there. Let's go to Mac, VA3 IMW. How did you copy RPAD there, Mac?
Yeah, I've got RPAD with an S8, not bad at all, and I'm pretty sure George and I heard each other with the same signal, somewhere between an S8 and an S9, as usual. Back to you, Chuck.
Okay, very good then. All right, so now we got that out of the way. Let's move on down the list to VE3 Juliet Golf Kilo. I believe that's Gary. Come on in.
Yeah, good evening. Well, yourself is full scale here in downtown Hamilton, but RPAD I can't hear at all, so there is definitely a variation in who I can hear. And I can certainly appreciate the noise problem on things like 20 and 40 meters, and I'm looking to buy some filters to try and help that situation for myself as well. Being in the downtown, you're close enough to neighbors that you never know who's got what running and what kind of weird noise is coming through. Back to net control.
Okay, very good, Gary. Thanks for your patience. And you've got a very clean, strong signal here as well, full strength. And for those of you who cannot hear other stations that are possibly running handhelds or handhelds with an external antenna, maybe not be able to hear them, I do stream the net on YouTube for that reason. And so if you just put in my call sign in the YouTube search box, again, VA3CJZ, and you can listen to us live there, and you'll be able to hear who I can hear. And so far, there's only one station that I have difficulty with, and that's VE3 Kilo Charlie India, Art, up on the escarpment there, with the upside down antenna stuck to the heating vent inside the apartment. But other than that, I can pretty much hear everyone. So if you have difficulty hearing, just go to YouTube. By the way, speaking of YouTube, I'd like to say hello to VA3 NCA, Wade, who checked in with us there on YouTube. Hello, Wade. We'll talk to you a little bit later, I guess. And then we have Wayne B, VA3 Fox Mike Bravo. Good evening, gentlemen. Thanks for joining us. Anyhow, Gary, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, my wife is on vacation, and so I am spending a little bit less time on the radio. And so have you been successful on the HF bands there recently?
Modestly so, I'd have to say yes, but I have to put more effort into it. And to that end, we might even take the station portable on Saturday if the weather holds and if nothing else is going on in the morning.
Yeah.
There's a fairly regular, I wouldn't say every week, but at least fairly often, there's some Burlington Ham people that go up to City View Park and operate POTA up there. So I thought, well, we maybe need to get off our butt and try something like that. And I have a feeling that's one of the reasons why POTA is as popular as it is because there's so many people that live in high noise environments, and getting outside and going somewhere more rural opens up a whole new world. And I tuned in the LubeTube live, the YouTube live stream. It's interesting. There's quite a significant delay, so you got to keep the volume down. But it is there, and it's I can see for myself how strong a signal I have. Back to you.
Okay, very good, Gary. And so that brings me to the Haida, the HMCS Haida ship down here in Hamilton in the Bay. They're celebrating their 80th anniversary of the christening of the destroyer Haida. And so they've been not activating, but transmitting from the Haida ship radio room. And that started on this past weekend on the 12th and 13th. And so I made contact with them. They were on 7.180, or if there's too much noise, they'll either move up 1 or 2 kcs or back down. So 7.180. And so they won't be back on until the 19th of August. And then they'll be on the 19th and 20th. And then they'll be on the 23rd, 24th, 25th, 26th, and 27th. Now, if I'm not mistaken, the 25th of August is the actual christening day or the official launch of the ship. And so they have a special call sign called Victor Bravo 3, Haida. That's Hotel Alpha India Delta Alpha. And so between 8:30 in the morning and 5:30 in the afternoon, you can try and make contact with one of the operators. As I mentioned, the next time they'll be on is the 19th and 20th this coming weekend. So if you can, try and drop in there and say hello to the gentleman running the radio inside the ship.
With an 80 suffix.
On the 25th, they will be using the VB3 Haida 80. So it'll be a very long call sign, VB3 HAIDA 80. And that will only be on the official anniversary on the 25th, right?
I believe you're absolutely correct. And perhaps Rick will have some information to share on that topic a little later. Anyways, Chuck, while I've got the mic open, I didn't get a chance to answer your question.
That's right. That's right. We're gonna have to go back when we go back to the second round. We're gonna give some time now, I guess, for everybody to let this sink in. We just celebrated 2 days ago, I think, 3 days ago, the 20th anniversary of the blackout of 2003. The question was, do you remember where and what you were doing on that faithful day where most of northeastern North America lost power? And so, Mac, why don't you be the first to let us know where you were and what you were doing?
I do recall sitting in my office in Oakville, Ontario. They had us in a remote office from the head office plant in Burlington at that time. And the lights went out, the screens went black, and everybody was in a quandary, not knowing what was going on. And it was probably 20 or 30 minutes before we actually had somebody report that they had heard something. I guess they went out to their car radio and turned on some radio station to figure out what was going on. And I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, it was around 2:30 in the afternoon. So mid-afternoon, you were still looking forward to finishing up your day in the office and all the rest of that stuff. But once we figured out the calamity that had gone on, the director basically said, we're going to shut the office down, go home, stay safe, blah, blah, blah. And to this day, I still remember driving past a gas station on Bronte Road, and cars that were in the gas station, people were standing there tapping their toes with the fuel hose stuck in their tank, waiting for the power to come back on. They had no idea what was going on. And I'll tell you this, this is a good reminder for everybody. Even if you spend with plastic on a regular basis, it doesn't hurt to have a few bucks of cold hard cash in your pocket.
Oh, yeah.
Because if the bank can't spit out money from the cash machine, or if your debit's down, you're not going to be able to beg, borrow, or steal ice, water, or anything else. So ever since that day, I've tucked away a few safety dollars in my wallet just to make sure I've got something that I can rely on. You can barter with one thing or another, but cash is always king. Anyways, that's my story for the time being. There's probably more, but maybe I'll save that for second round, because I can even remember when the power came on what I was doing. Hi. Anyways, back to you, Chuck.
All right, very good, Mac. And yes, you're absolutely right. Having a stash of cash for those types of moments does come in handy because I remember on that day. So I'll go next. On that day, I was working at E.D. Smith. I was one of the main cooks there, cook one, as they call it. And yeah, the whole plant powered down on itself, but they pretty much sent everyone home after a short time, and only essential personnel stayed behind, made sure that equipment was actually shut off so that everything doesn't come back on and nobody's around. And things like that, they had to go and take care of. On the other hand, I went on, that was my last day before going on vacation, anyways. So we stopped, I think, in Grimsby at the Canadian Tire there to get a few things. And guess what? No electricity there, so no cash, no goodies. So we had money because we were going camping. We brought cash with us ahead of time before the blackout, and so we were able to buy our flashlights and batteries and whatnot that we needed. And so there, you know, pen and paper and adding things up manually and paying with cash like the old fashioned way when you were a kid. Uh, and that's how a lot of people did it. So, very good point, Mac. And so, very good. Thank you very much. And so, let me drop for a second here. All right. So while we're on that subject, I'd like to put forth that question to our listeners on YouTube. I see that Victor Echo 3 India United Kilo Bill has joined us on YouTube, and I'd like to pose the question to him, to Wade and Wayne, if they could type in where they were during the blackout. That'd be great. And with that, I'll segue into Bill saying he will be at the Haida on the 23rd, 24th, and 26th. And on the 26th, he will be doing a POTA activation in the afternoon on 2 meters, 220, and 440 for anyone that can hear Bill. So, very good. I'm not sure if he will be in the radio room during those 3 dates, but maybe he can let us know a little bit more about that. So, thanks again, Mac. And let's see, before we continue on, let's take some more check ins for tonight's Amateur Radio Exchange Group. This is VA3CJZ. My name is Chuck, and I'm here in the East End of Hamilton looking for check ins.
Victor Alpha 3, November Echo.
VA3 OYL.
VA3 RWJ, no traffic.
Okay, very good. I heard VA3NE, VA3OYL, and VE3RWJ. No traffic. Chris, thank you very much. Was there anyone else?
Victor Alpha 3, X-ray Lima Juliet.
Okay, I heard Vanya, Victor Alpha 3, X-ray Lima Juliet. Okay, so let's start off with VA3 November Echo, my neighbor, Kevin. Come on in, Kevin.
Yeah, good evening there, Chuck, everyone on the net. Just the little red-headed drunken asshole here across the road, giving you a quick check-in. Me and Gordo. Hey, Gordo, say hello. Hello. Me and Gordo saying hello, Chuck. Seeing you go by there and give you a wave and a hello and that. And I don't know, I thought I was a little bit disacknowledged. But anyhow, whatever. Have a good evening. I think it was your anniversary there. Happy anniversary. And take care to everybody on the net. VA3NE. Giving a quick check-in.
Yeah, okay, thanks, Kevin. The wife and I were heading to Harvey's to get some dinner there. My blood sugars were low, so I couldn't really stop and chit-chat. I had to get to somewhere to get some carbs into me. The other night, I went into almost diabetic shock from my blood sugars getting too low. So sorry we didn't stick around and chat more. We had to keep walking there, Kevin. But thanks for the check-in. You're in the log, sir. We'll get back to you in a bit. And hi, Gord. Neighbor, neighbor. All right. Anything else, Kevin?
No, that's it there, Chuck. Just want to give you a check-in, VA3 Indy. I'll be along further than that.
Okay, very good then. Thank you. And let's go to Debbie in the West End, VA3OYL. Come on in.
Good evening, Chuck, and all on frequency. It was a lovely day. A friend of mine is away on vacation, so I went over and cut their grass for them. And yeah, not much else going on. I'm trying to find some stray RF in the shack. I was transmitting on FT8, and the signal was fine. I kept everything the same, but switched over to sideband for voice, and I had some problems, so I got to track it down and see what's going on.
Yeah, very good. You'll have to get yourself an RF sniffer.
Yeah, for sure. And the question, the blackout. I was living in Ottawa at the time, and I wasn't working, so I was at home. And I remember, I think the power was out, I don't know, 4 or 5 days or something there. And so the charcoal barbecue was my friend, and I remember it was hot too.
Yeah.
So I filled up the little kiddie swimming pool and cooled off, and yeah, it was all good. Just like camping, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. The wife and I, we kind of figured it would be for a while, and so we went to Algonquin Park, and we did some camping there, and so we were really off the grid. Okay, very good, Deb. Thanks for sharing that with us. And will you be sticking around for the rest of the net?
I will.
Okay, I do also. All right, very good then. So we'll clear with VA30YL. And Chris was next. No comment, no traffic. So VE3RWJ, thank you for checking in, sir. You're lucky number 13. I do believe the next person was VA3NCA. Wade, was that you?
VA3CJZ, VA3NCA. Yeah, I got in there. I didn't know if you heard me under Vanya there, because I know Vanya's in the list too. But good evening anyways, and to everyone. And wanted to make an RF check-in. So I am listening along on YouTube as well, though. Let's see, I guess the question of the day. Is where were you at the blackout there 20 years ago? I was at work, like most of so far have said they were, and lights went out. But at the time, my office was the room directly connected beside the main computer room, and so power didn't go out there. So we went in there to check out what we could find on the web at the time, for what such that it was at the time, and got our news that way. And when we found out that it was going to be a big deal, they sent us home too. So yeah, then we had the next few days of just waiting for the power to come back on. In general, power was off to the campus as a whole and all of town, but the diesel generator kept the life systems going, like telephones and telephones, the stuff that feeds the hospital, and our main computer infrastructure. Nothing else along the rest of campus, though. So actually, that was funny, because at one point, until they got the locksmith in, we weren't actually able to leave the computer room because the magnetic door locks wouldn't have reopened from the outside if we had left the room with nobody in it. So we had to wait until the locksmith could come around and make sure, replace the mechanical, the mag lock with the mechanical core, or whatever it is that locksmiths do. So yeah, interesting times. And yeah, with that, I don't have much else to mention, I'll hang around for as long as I can tonight, but I got to get up early again. This week at work has been busy and will be so for the rest of the week. One quick note, though, for those who take it in, RAC has their annual general meeting this weekend on Saturday the 19th. 3 p.m. is when they have their AGM. But they also have a bunch of conference sessions the Saturday and the Sunday, and they're all free on YouTube if you wanted to check them out. They're going to be carried on the RAC YouTube channel. You can get more information from the RAC website at rac.ca/AGM. So www.rac.ca/AGM. And with that, I'll send it back to you before I time out my my radio here, Chuck. Thanks for doing it. Be at your NCA. Back to net.
Okay, very good there, Wade. Yeah, I didn't know RAC had a YouTube channel there, so thanks for that. We will definitely look into that. Good information. Thank you so much for joining us and checking in. And yeah, just listen along for the remainder on YouTube there. So, and thank you for sharing all that with us. I haven't gone back to look at. There we go. Holy smokes! We got North End Richard checking in, saying his mobile took a big dump, so he won't be on the air tonight, but he's on YouTube. So thank you for checking in with us tonight, Richard. And I have a few things to read here from Bill. It looks like that's going to take me a few minutes. So with that, let's continue on down the list. Thank you, Wade. And next we have VA3XLJ. Vanya, come on in.
Hello, Chuck, and everybody. So I'm going to give you a check-in. This is going to be check-in and check-out. So I really don't have much to contribute to today's conversation other than when we had a blackout, I lived on the 23rd floor, and my first child was very small back then, so I remember stopping by some of the stores that were open, and I bought some diapers and bottled water, 2 cases of bottled water, left one in the trunk, and they brought one up on the 23rd floor with me, and I'll tell you what, that they were exercise. I don't think today I would survive that. But now that I'm thinking of it, I think that should be my goal, to be able to carry the big box of the diapers and the 24 bottles of the water to some distance upstairs. So we'll see. I'll think about it. Other than that, there's another thing. When I went to work that day, the plant was shut down, and most of the people they were sent home. They kept afternoon shift for a little while, and they never canceled night shift. So people show up, and they just told them 45 minutes later to leave, which was kind of unfortunate. But I came a little bit earlier to relieve my electrician. Actually, there was no electrician on afternoon shift back then. I was relieving myself. Anyways, so what I've done, I remember siphoning the gas from my gas tank, so I can run a generator for the what was the name of it, for the X-ray machine. What we use to the whatever that is that they make whatever they were making, they were measuring the pallets and the density, size, and something else determine if it's good or bad. So there's something in an X-ray machine which has to be refrigerated or cold at so many degrees, and the unit has to run it cannot be unplugged more than half an hour or so. So that was all happened for those couple of days. And on a side note, the building we lived in, I think didn't get a hydro for a good 3 or 4 days. Everyone around the building had a hydro outside, other than the building we lived in. So on the second day we moved out, and we lived in a hotel for a couple of days until the building actually got elevators working.
I was just going to mention that, Vanya. I can just imagine all the service calls to the elevators that did not have backup power or anything like that, stuck in an elevator waiting to be freed. That must have been terrible. And so, Vanya, I got to ask you whereabouts you are. We're only receiving you at an S8 tonight, dipping down to S7. And so, are you on a portable? Are you far away? Where are you?
I'm halfway in between me and my work. I mean, it was a little double. I am halfway in between my house and my work.
Okay then. Well, that's perfectly fine. So there you go, S8. And thank you for sharing that memory with us, Vanya. Um, Officially, they said it online, anyways. I don't remember exactly, but it said it lasted from the 14th through the 16th before most people had power turned back on. So yeah, it was a long that was a long period. I remember watching the news where people in New York City were walking over the bridges and just uh, I mean, it was just wall to wall people because that's nothing worked. And so yeah, uh, that was a big deal. I hope someone got fired over that. Somebody pushed the wrong button or plugged in a toaster when the microwave was on. Uh, so yeah. Okay, Vanya. Well, thank you very much again, and you have a great evening at work. And hopefully, we'll catch you down the log doing some POTA.
Yeah, I'll see. I'm gonna try to do that on the weekend. Hopefully, we will see how my too many things gonna go this year. This year kind of started like nice and good, and I said it's tamed or civilized, and it just turned out that it's bombarding us with like a gazillion little nuisances every day, every day. So, but so far we are how you say this, persevering, whatever the thing is. But we'll see how long that's gonna last. Anyways, I gonna listen to the radio. Gonna head down the road. There's a little parquet. You know, I'll tell you what. I love this place because it was always parquet here, but there was a big tree, and underneath the tree there was this. You can imagine like from like 1920s or 30s, like with the cast iron legs and little boards across. It was just the same thing like I ever seen. Like, I don't know how many times I was driving to work or driving home in the morning, and I would stop by the middle of the road and get out because there was no one on the lakeshore, and I took a picture of it. And the tree, but it is what it is. So that's my rant for today. So the 7-3 check and 7-3 to all of you guys who can hear me and cannot. So hopefully we're gonna be talking again next Saturday, Wednesday. Yeah, Wednesday.
Okay, great stuff, Vanya. Very good. And yeah, another point that Richard, North End Richard, that is VA3VJC, has mentioned to us on the YouTube live stream that the blackout was great for stargazing because there was no light pollution. That's a very good point there. Although we were camping out in the boonies, we were able to see the stars as well quite easily. So thank you for that, Richard and Vanya. And so before we continue on, I just want to come back to Bill VE3IUK. He mentioned that he will be in the radio room of the Haida for those 3 days, the 23rd, August 24th, and August 26th. On the 26th, he will be doing the POTA activation on 2 meters in the afternoon. And so thanks for sharing that, Bill. I'll read the rest here in a second. I have to bring in Rick, VE3BK. We didn't really get a chance to chat with Rick there. So come on, Rick, come on in and let us know what you were doing during the blackout.
Okay, well, I'm not sure. When was that blackout? Was that 2003? You were saying, is that the time it was down? The grid was down for 3 days?
Yes, sir. August 14th, 15th, and 16th. So today is the 16th, and it's the day where I guess a lot of people were getting their power back on. And so, yeah, but it started on the 14th, and that was in 2003. So it's been this is the 20th anniversary.
Oh, Roger that. Yeah, I remember it being very hot, and we had some batteries, and we ran fans, like computer type fans, to keep cool. But I was very, very lucky. I had a friend that had a generator, and he brought his generator over, and we changed it to the back porch so nobody could steal it. And we ran it on the fridge and the freezer, and that was it. We listened to transistor radio, and I remember I got time off work because I was tradesman and nobody else would be in the office, so it wasn't any sense us going out. So I was home. I remember being home, and actually, what it wasn't that bad at all. It was like camping out inside. We used propane. I had a propane stove that we cooked on out in the back, and it was like camping out. It was actually a lot of fun. But I was lucky. I didn't go anywhere because I knew it was trouble getting gas anywhere, getting pumped, and so I didn't need any money. And I think I went to work the one time just to see what we were doing and what was going to happen. That's about it. Okay, and the HIDA. Okay, the HIDA. Go on to hamiltonarc.com, and you can look up the schedule and everything else all about the HIDA. And I know they're going to run the 2 calls. I'm going to be there Saturday myself. I'm one of 4 that are going to be there this Saturday. So we're going to be running VE3 HIDA, HAIDA, for that time. And of course, like you guys were saying, later on when the actual day of 80 years, they're going to be running VE3 HIDA 80, HAIDA 80. So that's a big mouthful. That's the biggest special event call sign I ever worked on. But I won't be there for that day anyway. So I'll be doing the HIDA, and we've always got our directions on what we had to do to get down there and everything. And we expect to have lots of visitors in the HIDA for the weekend. So that's about it. Anyway, for the weekend or the time, the 3 days, that was an experience. And after that, I started looking at battery backup and stuff like that. And the cache that Mac mentioned is a heck of a good idea. And you went camping? Oh boy, that was the best thing to do. Anyway, that's it. Back to you, Chuck. VA3CJZ, V3BTEC.
Yeah, that's right, Rick. I was working, or the wife and I were both working at E.D. Smith out in Winona back then, and I do believe that was our last day of work before heading off on vacation the following day. So we got a jump start on that, and we had a pocket full of cash, so we were able to buy things without worrying about debit. Canadians at one point were known to be very cashless society, more so than other countries in the world. We are one of the few countries that hardly uses cash anymore. But in those situations, you better have a mattress with some extra bills in there for those types of occasions. I mean, we also found out that gas pumps didn't work when a tornado went through Huntsville when we were in Algonquin Park. Here we are sitting at the pumps, and the guy says, no power, no gas, right? So we took a chance and we drove to Huntsville on a almost empty gas tank, and lo and behold, it was quite a distance from Algonquin. It was about an hour's drive, I think, from Algonquin Park to Huntsville, and just as we got into town, the power came back on. So And then all the way down there, we saw rows of trees along the side of the road, all down or dominoed. They looked like dominoes. The tornado that came through there did some damage. So, anyways, thanks for sharing that, Rick. Much appreciated for that information. So, any more info on the Haida, you can go to the Hamilton Amateur Radio Club website, or you can go to ontars.com, ONTARS.com, and they also have a schedule for the Haida radio room transmission. So, go there for any more info. Okay, Rick, anything else?
Yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention. John David, Victor Alpha 3, Japan, Hotel Delta. That's VA3JHD at gmail.com. So it's his call sign at gmail.com. Anybody that's interested in going down and working on the Haida, the more people the merrier, and then you get to go in free. If you're going into a radio room, of course you're not going to get a tour, but you'll get to go in the radio room and play radio and try and work them big pile-ups there for everybody that wants to work the ship. So anyway, that's just another thought. I thought I'd throw that in there. If anybody wants to email him and volunteer for a time slot, whatever. His phone number, you can probably get his phone number that way too. I don't know what it is right off hand here. So back to that, and yeah, interesting topic there, Chuck. V3 VTech.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I thought that was a great opportunity there, uh, celebrating the 20th anniversary of the blackout. It was a big deal. So I thought it would be a great opportunity to ask everyone where they were on that day. So thanks for sharing that with us, Rick. Much appreciated, sir. And before we continue on, let's see who else is out there that would like to join us here on the Amateur Radio Exchange Group. My name is Chuck, and my call is VA3CJZ. We are also streaming live on YouTube, and you can play move the slider back and forth wherever you like. There is a running clock on the stream, and so just punch in my call in the YouTube search, and you can find us there live this evening and follow along. So, with that, do we have any other people who would like to check in with us here on the AREG net? Please come now.
Victor Alpha 3, Charlie Romeo, Foxtrot, Burn Chuck, pedestrian mobile.
All right, Victor Alpha 3, Charlie Romeo, Foxtrot on the pedestrian mobile out in, where are you again?
Waterdale.
Right, Waterdown. I kept thinking Waterford, but I knew that was wrong. So over in Waterdown, you're coming in fairly well tonight. A slight bit of noise with you there, Vern. Do you remember where you were during the blackout 20 years ago?
I remember it well, Chuck. I was at my desk at work. The power went off, and I thought, oh, that's weird. And I went over to the window to look at the building beside ours. So I turned on for MSNBC, just kind of giving an update and letting people know that it was much bigger than we thought. And within a few minutes, pretty much everyone on our floor in our office was standing around my desk listening, because literally no one else had battery powered radio, Chuck. It was a very interesting experience. No, what that meant was no subway service, no streetcars, the GO train was not running because the signals weren't running. The trains could have run, but they can't run without signals. So a commute that normally would have taken me about 45 minutes took me 4 hours. One of my colleagues drove a couple of us home, not really home, but from square one, and we caught the bus from square one. It was a long day. Two things I remember. people, just regular folks, would get out to the intersection.
Oh, yes, there, Vern. It was a big deal. And like you said, people had to get home, right? And so if you were far away from home, you either had to hitchhike or, walk or cycle, whatever. But definitely got people mobile. I saw on the news there, like I mentioned earlier, the streets and the bridges is just overrun with people because a lot of people rely on uh, uh, trains and subways and things like that. So, yeah, it was a big deal. Okay, Vern. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. Much appreciated, sir. You are check-in number 16 tonight. So, do you have anything else for us?
V3PDL.
Anything else, Chuck? I'll be listening along for a couple of minutes. I guess, as has been mentioned as well, when I got home, it was very quiet and very dark, which was kind of nice for sky watching. And also, fortunately, we had a barbecue, so we pulled some stuff out and barbecued it. And at that point, we also had a pool. We lived in Mississauga, and so we took a dip in the pool because it was a pretty warm day. And then, yeah, I think, I remember if it was the following afternoon power came back, but it was a reminder to have a couple of flashlights with batteries, to have some battery-powered radios, and all of that kind of stuff. A good reminder, a good wake-up call. Thanks for picking me up, Chuck. Victor Alpha 3, sorry, I know. They're going to be laughing for that one, sorry. Victor Alpha 3, Charlie Romeo Fox.
Okay, very good then, Vern. Paul, you're acknowledged. So yeah. All right, Vern. Well, your signal actually came up a bit and the noise dissipated there. I think you're around S8 now. Very good copy from your location in Waterdown. I'm amazed. You must be fairly higher in height there. So it's a good spot. Thanks again, Vern. So let's move down to VE3 Papa Delta Lima. Come on in, Paul.
Thanks, Chuck. I almost forgot about the net again. I was up on ZOE and somebody mentioned the net, and I went, "Oh, it's Wednesday. Lord Thundering. I got to come down here and throw a bean in the pot." So hopefully I didn't interrupt you with Vern there. I couldn't even hear him. I even turned my squelch right off and couldn't hear a peep out of him. But I'm on the horizontal and pointed your direction, so that explains it. Anyway, bean in the pot, my friend. V3PDO.
What about the other beans?
Well, I didn't want to tell them you were here in case you couldn't get through or something, you know?
Oh, thanks.
Oh, well, yeah. Geez, both of you are here?
Yeah, Vern here. I can copy you.
They followed me.
Okay, there, Paul. Vern just came back to you there saying he could hear you.
Well, I apologize, Vern. I got no signal on you whatsoever, sir.
Yeah, no problem. I mean, it's just a handy talkie, 5 watts, so no surprise there. Won't hold you up.
All right, Vern on the portable. Again, for those who can't hear everyone transmitting on the airwaves, just go to YouTube, put in VA3CJZ, and look for tonight's title, AREG Week 1561, and you can move the slider to whatever time you like to hear who you could not hear through the radio. So, Paul, before you go, we did have a question of the evening, and Kevin, KKP, you're acknowledged. PDL, the question is, do you remember where you were, what you were doing during the blackout of the year 2003?
Yes, actually, I was sitting at my buddy's house. He had his generator going and a 76-inch TV, and we were watching football, drinking cold beer.
Oh yeah, but when it happened, like Not after it happened. When it happened, do you remember what you were doing? Where you were?
Yeah, I was at home. Everything went out, and I phoned my buddy Pete. Come on over. Everything's lit up over here because he had his house wired up to his generator, so everything was working at his house. So yeah, I packed up the girlfriend at the time, and over we went.
Ah, very good, very good. Reminds me of that movie there with who the heck? One of those Die Hard movies. I think it was. Bruce Willis there had a candy fluff boy with him there, a computer geek, and then they ended up at a buddy of his house, and the power was out, of course, and he said he had 5 generators and a CB going there. So that's what that reminds me of. Anyways, Kevin or Paul, thanks for sharing that with us. Anything else?
Just in case you didn't catch it, BMO was in there as well after KKP. So just to give you a heads up. All right, Chuck, thanks for being there and doing the net so diligently every week. You got more in you than me. I couldn't do it. Not continuously every week on the same day at the same time. Yeah, I got my life's too crazy to
same bat channel.
Commit to that. But right on, man. Good job. V3PO.
All right, very good. So BMO, you are acknowledged. I'll take you after VE3 KKP. Come on in, Kevin.
Hey, good evening, Chuck, and everyone on that. Another bean for the pot. I tried to get in a little earlier, but you were pretty busy, so I thought I'd let you roll with it. Come back a little later. Paul said he was going to teach me how it was done, so I guess he did. I was on afternoon shift, I think, 2003, when the power went out, and it was just, if I remember correctly, it was like we were only on afternoon shift a couple hours. It was early out, like late afternoon, but early in my shift, so somewhere between like probably 4 and 6, something like that. The whole plant just went brrr.
Yeah.
And the backup power came, the lighting in the stairwells came on, and we went outside. I think we were outside goofing off for about 2 or 3 hours when they finally come and said, "Doesn't look like it's coming back on. Everybody can go home."
Yeah. It's funny that noise you made there, replicating the sound of the entire plant powering down. That's the exact same sound that I heard, and I was at E.D. Smith at the time, and yep, she was a biggin. So very good then. All right, thanks for sharing that there, Kevin. Anything else before we bring in Pierre?
Maybe I should let Pierre wait a little bit. No, I'm only kidding. All right, we'll be back for last round there. Take it away, V3 KKP.
Okay, before you go, how are the bands tonight?
I just worked a couple there now before I came back over. It's okay, yeah.
All right, very good, very good. Well, maybe after the net I can sneak 1 or 2 in there. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Kevin. VE3 KKP. We'll get back to you later, and let's bring in VE3 BMO. Isn't it past your bedtime, Pierre? Come on in.
Yes, sir. I figured I'd go outside, throw the antenna on there so I can give a check in to Chuck's net. And I was on my way home when the blackout happened from work out Burlington or Oakville, Burl Oak. And hours getting home. But I made it. And that's all I got, buddy.
Okay, Pierre. Did I hear that right? You were supposed to go out this evening and activate?
I did.
I missed it. Missed it again, Pierre. I know we need to make 2 more contacts for me to reach the 200 mark with you, operator to operator.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. I got another 80 contacts there tonight. I got 18 after 8 o'clock, and I was out of there and came home. Took me 11 minutes, 18 contacts. That's pretty good.
That is fabulous. Yeah, you're definitely a pro now. Uh, Definitely out of the amateur league and into the pro leagues now. All right, Pierre. Well, congratulations and great job. And you're coming in very good tonight. And thanks for checking in, sir. You are check in number 19 tonight. So we're doing very well.
Very good. Well, hopefully you get a lot more check-in, Chuck. I'll probably listen along for a little bit, but I don't know about guaranteeing next time round. It's a lot of chitter-chatter on here. But anyways, I'll be listening along, and I guess if I need to say something, I'll try to get in there. V3 BMO. Thanks, Chuck.
All right, Pierre. Not a problem. It's understandable. People that get up early in the morning, yeah, I won't count on you being there, but I just want to say thanks for checking in. I do appreciate it. And just a reminder, in 3 weeks' time, it'll be the actual 30-year anniversary. So we're at week 1561. When we reach 1564 in 3 weeks' time, that will be the 30th anniversary. Hope to hear you check in on that night as well. Thanks again, VE3BMO, Bravo Mike Oscar. Let's see if anyone else is out there would like to check in with us here on the Amateur Radio Exchange Group. This is VA3CJZ. Looking for check-ins. Come on in.
Victor Echo 3 Zulu Juliet Charlie.
Okay, well, that call sign kind of sounds like a reverse echo for some reason. VE3 Zulu Juliet Charlie. Come on in, Jason. Where were you during the blackout of 2003?
Evening, Chuck and everybody on frequency. 20 years ago, I was ironically working for the same employer I am now and doing a similar job to what I'm doing now in information technology. So when the blackout hit, I was parked at the office overnight for all of the nights, monitoring all of the systems in the data centers and generators and making sure that everything kept running as expected. And then when the temperatures hit daytime highs, the generator was put in such a bad position that it was causing our print shop to get near flashpoint temperatures for all of the paper stock sitting in there. So I remember a whole bunch of people having to slug reams and cases of paper out of the building into the parking lot just to make sure that we didn't spontaneously combust. The office was over at right beside the Pearson Airport, and I remember it never looking so black in the sky as it did that night, and seeing all of the stars. It was really something to behold.
Yeah, absolutely. There we had another gentleman mention that it was great for stargazing for sure because there was no light or very little light pollution on those nights for sure. All right, Jason. Well, thank you for checking in and thanks for sharing that with us. Do you have anything new and exciting going on with yourself?
No, I am sitting on the QEW. Amanda's driving us home from family dinner out in Pickering. And my cousin was in town from Saskatchewan, and I haven't seen her husband, or the kids in a year and a half, so that was good to get together. And this weekend, I will be out in London on Sunday, and I found out that my son lives, the house that he's in backs onto a provincial park, Kamoka Provincial Park, so I can literally walk through his backyard, go through a gate, and 10 feet I'm in the park. So I'm bringing some radio gear with me, and I will be making every attempt to activate that park out there Sunday, mid-afternoon, late afternoon.
Okay, very good, very good. Well, while you're at it on the weekend, maybe you can go to 40 meters on the frequency of 7.180 and see if you can get a hold of the guys inside the Haida destroyer ship. They will be transmitting from the radio room on Saturday and Sunday between 8:30 and 5:30 on 7.180. So try and see if you can score a check-in with those gentlemen.
QSL, and definitely will do. I did work them last weekend, and I worked Dave as well when he activated the park on 2 meters and 70. But hey, we'll do it again because another check-in's another check-in, right?
Absolutely, they all count. All right, didn't know that you already made contact with them, but just for general information for anyone else listening as well. And so thanks again, Jason, for checking in. Good copy on you tonight there. Signal's not fluctuating too much. And so you're doing great down here at the Center Mall. Have a great rest of the evening, sir, and we'll talk to you again later.
Thanks, Chuck. I'll follow along as much as I can. Back to you.
All right. So before we go through the list real quick, before we do on this day in history, we have a real good one in store for you tonight. Is there any other stations out there that would like to check in or comment? Please come now.
Comment?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, Chuck, don't forget, they're going to be using so if anybody that's already checked in with them, the HIDA, they'll be using a different call sign those days because it will be the real anniversary. So don't be afraid to check in again. You can log a different call.
All right. Good information. Thanks for that info there, Kevin. All right. Anyone else like to check into the AREG net, Amateur Radio Exchange Group net? Please come now. This is VA3CJZ.
It doubled with Al for KCI.
Okay, please go ahead, sir.
Yeah, Art's going to shut down for the night. So VE3 KCI, VA3 IMW, your salutation for the night. Go ahead. All right, 7-3's Art, and we'll look forward to hearing you next week. So, Chuck, Art's going to shut things down. The dead of night is coming, and he's headed off to the place that we all want to go. 7-3's Art, and on behalf of Chuck in the net, we'll look forward to hearing from you next week. Chuck, anything further before I let him go?
Just tell Art to dream happy thoughts about the 7100 arriving shortly. Enjoy the rest of the week and have a good night.
Okay, final message from Net Control. Art, dream really positive dreams about your new radio arriving shortly. 7-3's Art will listen for you down the log. Back to Net Control.
Okay, very good, Mac. Thanks for that relay. Any other check-ins for the AREG net? Please come now.
Victor Alpha 3, Charlie Oscar Foxtrot.
Okay, I copy Victor Alpha 3, Charlie Oscar Foxtrot. Damien, please come on in, sir.
Yeah, good evening. I'm just broadcasting from the car park of Joseph Brand Hospital, just on the 5 watt and the car and aerial. Yeah, in 2003 I was in Australia, so I wasn't aware of it, anything happening. I probably read about it in the newspapers, but I've certainly heard a few stories from my workmates since. That's all I've got for the net tonight. Over.
Okay, you were down under. That's why you didn't know. Very good. Yeah, it was probably the largest North American blackout, I do believe. And there's a lot of finger pointing as to who is to blame, but nonetheless, they got our power back on grid, and everything went back to normal eventually. So, well, thanks for checking in, Damien. Your 5 watts from across the lake there is giving me full scale signal at my location here at the Center Mall in East Hamilton. So, thank you for checking in, sir. Much appreciated. Okay, anyone else would like to check into the AREG net? Please come forward. Okay, so let's go back to the top of the list real quick. We'll run down the list before we do on this day in history. It's a good one tonight, so stick around. Let's go to VA3 AXJ. Rick.
Yeah, good evening, you're Chuck again. Yeah, when that blackout there, I was at home and I was looking after a couple of properties, and they were screaming at me because they had no hydro in the house. So I had to go down and check all the panels. But I didn't even actually knew it blew. The power went until about an hour after it actually did. Yeah, it was quite the day. A week before that, I just got a freezer order and lost all that meat. But, that's what happens. You only can cook so much on a barbecue before you run out of propane. Yeah, I remember that quite well. Back to you.
Yeah, I think my biggest issue would be if I was inside an elevator. I definitely would not want that. Imagine the elevator in the CN Tower or the Skylon Tower, for that matter, the Empire State Building in New York, and all those buildings. I don't know if they have fail safes for when the power goes out, but I would suspect that since that happened, they may have introduced some new technology. But yeah, I would not want to have to pee inside an elevator. I have when I was a kid. That was a lot of fun. But anyways, yeah, well, let's not dwell on that. All right, Rick, thanks for that input there. And we'll talk to you again soon. Take her easy, my friend. Don't be shy. Give me a shout on this frequency anytime. Okay, let's go to Mac now. VA3IMW, no relays, just straight Mac.
That's what I am all the time. I'm just straight Mac. No inference intended, of course. So yes, the tail end of the story for the great power outage, which I think is the second largest in North America. If you can remember many years back, the entire eastern seaboard went into a blackout. But this was a little bit smaller. And of course, we do know it was a power relay station in Ohio that had obsolete and maintained equipment that suffered a failure, and its relays did not disconnect from the grid, and that was the cause of everything else going kaboom. So yes, it was quite widely researched to find out how it happened and how to make sure it never ever happened again. Anyways, I do remember coming home, and of course, in those days, I was still living in a townhouse complex over in the region of Upper Paradise in Mohawk. Upper Paradise in Stonechurch, sorry. And a few of our neighbors were gathered out front. So it was a good excuse to take what cold beer you had out of the fridge and enjoy a few cold ones, because it was a hot and steamy night after all. And once all of that had finished up, and we decided to pack it in for the night, went in and locked things up. Of course, being a warm evening, we had bedroom windows open on the second floor, and wouldn't you know it, a pesky little bat shimmied his way in past our storm screen into our bedroom, and we heard the fluttering around overhead. I knew exactly where my fishing net was in the closet, so I dashed out of bed and grabbed grabbed hold of my fishing net, swinging wildly in the air in order to catch the bat and get it extricated from the house. Well, lo and behold, yes, I think I struck somebody in the forehead who was also in the room. And I think she still has a little bit of a scar on her forehead from that. But we did finally manage to catch the bat and throw the net and the bat out the back door and sleep happily ever after. And yeah, I think that's going to be something that's going to be used at a eulogy someday, perhaps, when she recalls some of the wonderful things that have happened. Anyways, yeah, that's about it for now, and I'm really looking forward to some more on this day. So I'll turn it back to you, Chuck. Thank you very much.
Okay, very good, Mac. That's so funny about the bat. That happened to us one night in the dead of night, middle of the night. We had a house cat, and she was meowing like crazy, just freaking out in the bathroom. And so I get up, go into the bathroom, and what do I find? A bat in our bathtub. It turns out that it had gotten in through um, the exhaust, the chimney. We did not have a secure cover on top of the chimney, and it got in through there into the furnace and found its way out of the furnace into the house. And so, thank you, Kitty Cat, for letting us know. I too got the fishing net and I captured it, no problem. And I just went outside and let it go free, go eat some bugs. There's no need to kill it. They're actually good for eating insects and all kinds of things. So very good, Mac. Thanks for sharing that with us. And so we'll move down the list here before we get to on this day. Let's see if George is still out there. VE3KYY. All right, let's check in on Gary. VE3 Juliet Golf Kilo. Okay, how about Rick? VE3BK. Anything else to add, Rick?
Yeah, just hang on that. Yeah, I had to turn the one radio down. Yeah, I had two radios on with two different antennas because one of the fellows there in Waterdown, I couldn't hear him on the one radio, but I could hear him on the other. So I got some feedback there. Yeah, no, nothing really to add, and looking forward to that day in history, and we'll see what happened there. And that's about all I got there for the moment there, Chuck. And make sure those guys check into the HIDA and give us some contacts there. Don't know about the QSL cards yet. I think they're going to be doing them electronically, so you can print your own out. Anyway, that'll be determined yet. So that's all I got there, Chuck. BA3CJZ, B3BK.
Okay, very good, Rick. Yeah, I too sometimes use two radios with two different antennas because one will pick up a station that the other antenna is having trouble with. So, yeah, comes in handy. All right, Rick, very good. Thank you very much. And so let's move down the list here. And next is VE3 November Whiskey. Arpad, are you there? Okay, next is Wade, but he's just listening on the YouTube stream. And so we'll skip over. And so is VA3FMB and VE3IUK. And then let's jump to Victor Alpha 3, November Echo. Kevin, are you still there? Okay, next is Debbie, VA3OYL. Deb, you there?
I am. I just had a FT8 contact with Finland on 20 meters, so I was happy about that. Today I took my dog to the dog cafe off Upper James, and he did very well. I was very happy with him. He got along with all the dogs, except for one that kept bugging him. But and it was I don't know, a bulldog or a pit bull or something. I can't remember. But yeah, so it was good. So I'll definitely take him back.
So Hamilton has a dog cafe off of James. Hey, I didn't know that. Right on. Well, good for you. And yeah, it's all about being social. The more you introduce your dog to new things and people and other dogs, the more social they become, and that's just part of who they are.
Yeah, well, actually, there are 2 dog cafes in Hamilton now. There used to be 3. The other one is on the mountain, but I can't remember. Not Ottawa, Upper Ottawa. I can't remember which street it's on, but yeah, you can bring your dog in and go have something to eat, and they have dog treats there, and
Upper Gauge.
play with the other dogs, and it's fun. It's even nice to go if you don't have a dog, if you want to get your fix of a dog. Anyway, that's all that's going on here. It's all about the dog, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome. Good to know. And thanks for passing on that information. And I did hear a comment in there. I heard Upper Gauge. Who was that? Come on in.
Yeah, it was me just saying Upper Gauge is the other dog place there.
Okay. Yeah, I did not know that. I know I've seen it on TV in other cities, but didn't know we had one. So that's good. Very good. Okay. Thanks, Kevin. Anything else?
No, it's back to Deb. No, it's just anyway.
Yeah. No, that's good. Thanks. All right, Deb. Anything else?
No. I see a call sign, we for bad. I like that. Anyway, nothing else. I'll listen along and see what's going on in history on this day.
Alrighty then. Okay. Well, do we have any other comments or check-ins before we start on this day? We're a little bit late this evening, but anyone else out there would like to check into the Amateur Radio Exchange Group or have any comments or announcements, please come forward.
VE3LBI.
There he is, VE3LBI. Come on in, Larry.
Yep, I was going to jump in there between when people weren't coming responding to you. So, anyways, no, I'm here and going to listen along for a bit.
Okay, very good, Larry. We had a question of the night, and that is, being as it's the 20th anniversary of the North America blackout, or a large portion of the East Coast anyways, of North America, where were you when it happened there, Larry?
Oh, the one 20 years ago on the Monday. I was actually at home. I had eye surgery. And all the guys at work, they were there, that said, they called me up and said, all the UPSs are failing. All the equipment's going to shut down. Well, what should we do? I said, well, why don't you shut it down now before the UPSs quit? Yeah, I had eye surgery, so I was actually at home on Stony Creek Mountain at the time.
Okay. You're one of the few people I've spoken to this evening that was not at work at that time, but you have a good excuse, obviously. So, yep, I was working at E.D. Smith at the time, and all you heard was a hum of all the equipment powering down in the factory. So it was quite the experience there. Okay, Larry. Well, thanks for sharing that with us. Do you have any announcements or anything you'd like to convey to people?
Nope, they were very lucky actually at the steel plant. They had just taken the one pot of steel and had finished casting it when all the power went down. But it was quite amusing, some of the stories I heard about after. The guys at the cranes, of course, there's no way down, right? So they had to walk across the boom. But the supervisors would get up there and kind of help them across it. While they're going across it, they would jump up and down a little bit on the boom and make it shake. So apparently they had a couple that crawl on top of the boom over the other side on their hands and knees, which I thought was kind of funny.
And he wants to plug the ZOE Rag Chew Net on Friday.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, why don't you let everybody know about that there, Larry?
Oh, okay. I was. Anyways, anybody's interested, Friday night we have the ZOE Rag Chew at 8 o'clock. I'm the host, Victor Echo 3 Lima Bravo India. You're quite welcome. We talk about whatever we wish. A lot of times POTA, a lot of times just other things. Sometimes we get off conversation. So anyway, Chuck, with that, carry on and let's hear what's happening in the world, or in the past world, I guess, really.
Yes, absolutely. Thanks, Mac, for that reminder. And anyone wondering what the ZOE Rag Chew means, it's going to be on the VE3 ZOE repeater. That is 443075. And all you need is a positive offset, no tone required. And that's 8 p.m. on Friday. Hope to hear you all there. All right. Thank you, Larry. So with that, we will start on this day in history. This is on this day 129. That means 129 weeks that we've been doing on this day. And of course, the first thing on my list is the blackout of August 14th to the 16th back in 2023 on this day. Actually, today is the 16th, so it would have been the third day of the blackout, but it started on the 14th. So there you go. All right, so let's move on to today's famous birthdays. And today we have the first on our list is T.E. Lawrence. On this day in 1888, T.E. Lawrence was born, and he is a British author, soldier, and diplomat, famous for his liaison role in Arabia during World War I. Most of you may know the movie Lawrence of Arabia. It was based on this gentleman, T.E. Lawrence, born on this day in 1888, passed away in 1935. Next, we've got on this day in 1897, Robert Ringling was born. He is a circus master, born in Wisconsin, and he is the chairman of the board for Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. So next, we have Menachem Begin, born on this day in 1913. He is the 6th Prime Minister of Israel. Looks like 2 terms here, 77 to 80 and 1981 to 83. He won a Nobel Peace Prize in 1979. Now, what's interesting about Menachem Begin is that he was born in Belarus, which was the Russian Empire at the time. Funny, he becomes the Prime Minister of Israel, born in Russia, or Belarus, which is basically Russia back then. Okay, moving on. Next, we've got Fritz von Erich, born on this day, 1929. If that sounds familiar, he was one of the brothers, the Von Erich wrestling brothers. They're an American family of professional wrestlers. He was born on this day in 1929 and passed away in 1997. Who remembers the good old days of wrestling back when you were younger there? I remember it when it was in black and white on TV. All right, next we've got on this day, 1930, Frank Gifford was born. Frank Gifford is an American college pro football Hall of Fame halfback and sportscaster. He was on ABC Monday Night Football every week. Born in Santa Monica, California, passed away in 2015. All right, next we've got on this day in 1931, Forrest E. Mars Jr. Well, the name Mars right there should tell you. He is the inventor of the Mars candy bar. He was a candy manufacturer born in Oak Park, Illinois. He died in 2016. Julie Newmar was born on this day, 1933. It says here, it looks like she's still alive. Julie Newmar was Catwoman in the Batman series, as well as a movie I think called Living Doll and others, I am sure. Born in Hollywood, California. Happy birthday, Catwoman. All right, next we've got for you cyclists out there. I know there are some of you like Wade and Jason, I believe, and others. John Howard was born on this day, 1947, and he is an American Olympic cyclist. As well, in 1985, he has the land speed record of 152.284 miles per hour at the Bonneville Flats in Utah. Born in Springfield, Missouri. So he was fast pedaling, but he was also fast on the motorcycle, car, rocket, whatever it is. Okay, next, moving on. 1948 on this day is Barry Hay's birthday. Barry Hay is a Dutch singer, guitarist, flute, and saxophone player with the band Golden Earring. Most famous song you might remember, Radar Love. He was born in India, but he's Dutch. Anyways, okay. I always get confused when people are born in different countries, but they say they're. Anyways. All right, next we got James Cameron celebrating his 69th birthday. He was born on this day in 1954 in Kapuskasing, Ontario. He is a film director and writer for Titanic and Avatar. He has also been in a submersible down to the wreck of the Titanic. Oh, and he lived, by the way. All right, next we've got Tim Ferriss celebrating a birthday today in 1957. He is an Australian rock guitarist with the band In Excess, born in Perth, Australia. Madonna celebrating her 65th birthday today, born in 1958. American singer and actress, like a virgin, born in Bay City, Michigan. Steve Carell celebrating his 61st birthday today, born in 1962. He's an American actor and comedian, best known for his role in The Office, and he was born in Massachusetts. And finally, celebrating a birthday today is Rumer Willis, born in 1988 on this day. She's the first child of actors Bruce Willis and Demi Moore, born in Paducah, Kentucky. So that wraps up birthdays in history of famous people. And so let's move on to who died today in history. Let's start off with John Pemberton. Passed away on this day in 1888. He's an American pharmacist and inventor of Coca-Cola. Ironically, he dies of stomach cancer at the age of 57. This is when he decided to put cocaine in that soft drink, Coca-Cola. Anyways, John Pemberton, born 1831, passed away on this day in 1888. Next, we've got Robert Bunsen from Bunsen burner fame. Robert Bunsen was born in 1811, but he passed away on this day in 1899 at the age of 88. So he's a German chemist who invented the Bunsen burner. And again, for you cyclists on out there, we have the passing of Henri Desgrange. Passed away on this day in 1940. He's a French cyclist and journalist and founder of the Tour de France. He dies at the age of 75. Next, we have Babe Ruth, passing away on this day in 1948 at the age of 53 of nasopharynx cancer. Good old Babe Ruth. Yep. Okay, next we've got Margaret Mitchell, passing away on this day in 1949. She was born in 1900, and she is the American author for the book Gone with the Wind. She was 48 years old. Next, we've got Bela Lugosi. That may sound familiar. He passed away, sadly, on this day in 1956. Born in 1882. He's an Austrian actor, and he most famously portrayed Dracula back in the old days of black and white movies. He was in Dracula, Plan 9 from Outer Space, and many, many other movies. He died of a heart attack at the age of 73. Next, we've got the king of rock and roll. Elvis Presley passed away on this day in 1977 at the age of 42. Of course, he's the American king of rock and roll. Famous songs include Hound Dog, Love Me Tender, Heartbreak Hotel, Suspicious Minds, among many. And Jailhouse Rock, the movie, he was in that and a bunch more movies. In the 60s, he was making like 3 to 5 movies a year. Quite busy back then. They were pumping out Elvis movies like crazy. All right, next we've got the 13th Prime Minister of Canada, John Diefenbaker, passed away on this day in 1979 at the age of 83. On this day in 1991, Shamu the whale dies of respiratory failure at the age of 16. Now, I looked up some stuff on killer whales here. The average lifespan for a male killer whale is about 30 years, but they can live up to at least 60. Females typically live about 50 years. See, women always outlive men. Females typically live about 50 years, but can live up to at least 90 in the wild. Females also reach sexual maturity when they are between 10 and 13 years old. A little bit of information there. All right, and the last person in history, famous person in history that died on this day in 2018 was Aretha Franklin. She is an American singer known as the Queen of Soul. Famous song, Respect, and Chain of Fools. She's also a pianist, songwriter, and the first female performer inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987. Dies of pancreatic cancer at the age of 76. That's back in 2018, not too long ago. Oh, sorry, there's one more. Our last person is Peter Fonda. Passed away 4 years ago on this day in 2019. He was most famous for that movie, Easy Rider. And he's done a lot of other not so famous movies. B movies, you might call them. And he was 79 years old. Peter Fonda. And that wraps up famous people passing away on this day. Do we have any questions, comments, or check-ins for this week's AREG at this time? Please come now.
Roger that.
Sorry, but do you have a call sign? All right. Events in history now. The Statue of David. On this day in the year 1501, Michelangelo is awarded the contract to create his statue of David at Florence Cathedral by the overseers of the Office of Works, Duomo. Now, the statue of David represents David and Goliath. So that's who that sculpture was to be made for. Next, we've got 1743. In the year 1743, on this day, the champion of England title holder Jack Broughton publishes The Rules of the Ring, which is the earliest known boxing code. So basically, the rules for boxing, I guess. They didn't have many, I'm pretty sure. I mean, they had boxing matches that lasted for several, many hours, many rounds, way more than the 12 they have now. So that's in the year 1743 in England. And don't forget, they had bare knuckle boxing, and that's making a comeback too. They have that nowadays. All right, next we've got a historic invention. In 1858, Britain's Queen Victoria telegraphs United States President James Buchanan for the first time by a transatlantic telegraph cable. Big ships with giant spools of cable laying cable from Europe to the United States. And she said, it is a triumph more glorious because far more useful to mankind than was ever won by conqueror in the field of battle. Unquote. All right, next we've got an event of history of interest in history here. In 1861, United States President Abraham Lincoln prohibits Union states from trading with the Confederacy. Now that's where the North and the South started their issues. And a few years later, in the year 1865, on this day, is Restoration Day in the Dominican Republic. The Dominican Republic regains its independence after 4 years of fighting against the Spanish that tried to annex the island of the Dominican Republic. Okay, now in 1870, on this day, Fred Goldsmith demonstrates that the curveball isn't an optical illusion. They don't say how he demonstrated that, but there you go, 1870. Now, on this day in 1894, Indian chiefs from the Sioux and Onondaga tribes meet to urge their people to renounce Christianity and return to their old Indian faith. And then 2 years later, in 1896, gold, first discovered in the Klondikes, found at Bonanza Creek in the Yukon, Canada, by a gentleman named George Carmack. Next, for you roller coaster lovers out there, on this day in 1898, Edwin Prescott patents the roller coaster. There you go. And a few years later, in 1904, on this day, New York City begins building the Grand Central Station. That's the train station. Here we go. Some famous people in history now. In 1914, on this day, Zapata and Pancho Villa overrun Mexico. It's all the info I have on that. You'll have to check your history books. Next, we have 1920 on this day. Cleveland Indians shortstop Ray Chapman is hit in the head by New York Yankees pitcher Carl Mays. He dies the next day in the only Major League Baseball game-related fatality. 1920. Some more baseball history on this day, 1927 now. Yankees slugger Babe Ruth tees off Tommy Thomas in the fifth inning to hit first home run hit out of Comiskey Park, Chicago. New York beats the White Sox 8-1 in that game. And here's a Hamilton connection in history. On this day in 1930, the British Empire Games open in Hamilton, Canada. On this day, 1930. The 1930 British Empire Games were the first major international multi-sport competition in Canada. Hamilton provided the facilities, which included a pool and the Civic Centre, later named Iverwin Stadium. Canadians were among the officials, and Fred Marples officiated at the athletic events as he had at the 1928 Olympic Games. His badge included an enameled Union Jack and the Canada coat of arms. A little bit of Hamilton history there. 1943, on this day, the first Long Tom bombs are dropped on the Italian mainland. So, Long Tom bombs were designed to not explode at the surface, but to go below the surface of the earth and explode there. It was also called the earthquake bomb because of this. At 5 long tons, that's 5.1 tons, it could be carried only by a modified model of the Avro Lancaster heavy bomber. It proved to be effective against large fortified structures against which conventional bombing had proved ineffective. So here's some more history about the Lancaster bomber. And finally, another Canadian connection here. In 1944, on this day, the 2nd Canadian Division occupies Normandy during Operation Intractable. Canadians were very, very well loved in France and Holland. We actually liberated France during World War I, and we did it again in World War II. Okay, moving on to 1955. On this day, Fiat Motors orders the very first private atomic reactor. Now, why would Fiat Motors want an atomic reactor? I do not know. You'll have to look that part up. I'm just giving you the facts, man. I remember that guy who jumped from space with a parachute. Remember that guy? That wasn't very long ago. But in 1960, on this day, a gentleman by the name of Joseph Kittinger parachutes from a balloon at 31,330 meters. That is equal to 84,700 feet. So that's about, 10, 12, 15, 17 miles or so up in the air. So there you go. He was the first one. Okay, also in 1960, the Republic of Congo forms, previously known as Zaire, Democratic Republic of Congo. Next, we've got some music history here. In 1962, on this day, Ringo Starr replaces Pete Best as the Beatles drummer. First official concert is held 2 days later. So those of you who did not know, Pete Best was the very first drummer for the Beatles, and in 1962, Ringo Starr came in. And as I mentioned earlier about the Dominican Republic, in 1963, once again, independence is restored to the Dominican Republic. Sports history. In 1965, on this day, the American Football League's 9th franchise is officially awarded to Joe Robbie and television star Danny Thomas, and it was called the Miami Dolphins. And they started play in the AFL Eastern Division in 1966, a year later. 1969, on this day, the first performance of Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young at the Auditorium Theater in Chicago. Boy, 69 was a good year for music because Woodstock Music and Art Fair was also held on this day in 1969. In 1969, it was the second day. Today was the second day of the Woodstock Festival held in Bethel, New York. on a gentleman's farm. Performers included Santana, John Sebastian, Mountain, Grateful Dead, Creedence Clearwater Revival, Janis Joplin, Sly and the Family Stone, The Who, and Jefferson Airplane. And we have some more music history coming up. In 1975, on this day, British singer Peter Gabriel announces his departure from the rock group Genesis. And that's when Phil Collins took over the role as lead singer as well as drummer. So, yeah, very good. Let's jump to 1981 on this day. The highest score in the World Cup soccer match was New Zealand 13 and Fiji 0. That's back in 81. 1984, Los Angeles federal jury acquits automaker John Z. DeLorean on cocaine charges. So he got off on that one, but he got charged. Number one in the charts now, in the music charts. On this day, 1986, Madonna's True Blue album goes number one for 5 weeks, and her single Papa Don't Preach goes number one for 2 weeks. All right. Next, we have 1988 on this day. IBM introduces software for artificial intelligence. So this is nothing new. It's been around for quite some time in development here, it seems. 1988. Here's one of my favorites. Also in 1988 on this day, Mayor Ed Koch says he plans to wipe out street corner windshield washers, also known as the squeegee boys. Remember them? Well, as a matter of fact, Mayor Ed Koch did eradicate all the squeegee boys. They are no longer an issue like they were. Okay, jumping to 1989, a solar flare from the sun creates a geomagnetic storm that affects microchips, leading to a halt of all trading on Toronto's stock market. Bet you didn't know that. Okay, 1991, the Belgium census announces 10,963 inhabitants. And that's for the small country of Belgium. Now, I looked up Canada's population at the time, and we had 28 million in 1991. We have now hit 40 million. That's the latest news I've heard. So, yeah, open up those immigration floodgates. 1997 on this day, for only the second time, the Stanley Cup leaves North America and heads to Russia. Because the Stanley Cup winners had a bunch of Russians on the team, and they wanted to bring it to their homeland, of course. So back then, I'm not sure if they had rules on how many foreigners you could hire, but I do know that you had to have a certain amount of Canadians if you were in a Canadian team. So sticking with the Stanley Cup, the year 1993, we're going back now because the last one was 97, but the year was 1993, was the 100th anniversary of the first awarding of the Stanley Cup back in 1893. And the first finals to start in the month of June. Yeah, it goes late now. To date, the 1993 Canadiens are the last Stanley Cup championship team to be composed solely of North American-born players, and the last Canadian team to win the Stanley Cup. That's Canadian team to win. Yeah, okay. And sticking with sports history, 2003, Cristiano Ronaldo, at the age of 18, makes his debut for Manchester United and the Premier League in a 4-0 home victory over the Bolton Wanderers. We all know how well his career ended up. Sticking with sports, on this day in 2008, American swimmer Michael Phelps wins his 7th of 8 gold medals at the Beijing Olympics when he takes the 100-meter butterfly in Olympic record time. Yeah, that guy was just phenomenal. Let's go back to cycling now. In 2008 as well, British cyclist Bradley Wiggins becomes the first rider ever to successfully defend his Olympic title in the individual pursuit when he takes gold at the Beijing Olympics. Next, we've got still a third story here in 2008 on this day. Jamaican sprinter Usain Bolt sets new world record of 9.69 seconds to win the coveted 100-meter gold medal at the Beijing 2008 Summer Olympics. And then the following year, in 2009, Usain Bolt of Jamaica edges American Tyson Gray to win the 100 meters in world record 9.58 seconds at the World Athletics Championships in Berlin. Told you we had a bunch of stuff here this evening. So continuing on, we have event of interest. In 2012, WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange is granted political asylum by Ecuador. By the way, Julian Assange is currently in prison in England, fighting extradition to the United States. Okay, in 2016, on this day, wildfire breaks out in San Bernardino County, California, engulfing 15,000 acres, prompting evacuations of 82,000 people. I lived in San Bernardino County in 1989, 1990, by the way. We're almost done, but do we have any comments, questions, or check-ins? This is the Amateur Radio Exchange Group, and I am VA3CJZ. All right, we're almost done. We're going to film and TV history. In 2017, on this day, Emma Stone is the year's highest paid actress with $26 million per movie, I think, according to Forbes. So let's stay with 2017. Now, it says here, over 100 Maasai houses destroyed in Tanzania by game park authorities as part of a border dispute near the Serengeti National Park. Give you a little bit of history. The Maasai are a Nilotic ethnic group inhabiting northern, central, and southern Kenya, as well as northern Tanzania. They are among the best-known local populations internationally due to their residence near the many game parks of the African Great Lakes and their distinctive customs and dress. They usually dress in bright red clothing. Okay, 2018 now on this day. British Columbia, Canada declares state of emergency with 566 wildfires burning, prompting evacuation of 3,000 people. So that was back in 2018, folks. They had a 566. That was another bad year. Sticking with 2018, film and TV history, here we go. Scarlett Johansson now is the world's best paid actress of the year, earning $40.5 million, according to Forbes. I should have kept this one for the last one, but it's so cute. In 2018, the world's first floating dairy farm opens in Rotterdam, Netherlands, with 40 cows being milked by robots. Can you imagine seeing that floating by? That'd be crazy. All right. Election of interest in 2020 on this day, the largest ever demonstration in Belarus as 100,000 people gather in Minsk to protest against controversial election results and regime of Alexander Lukashenko. Alexander Lukashenko has been in the news recently for having taken in the Wagner Group. Very controversial figure for sure. All right, leaving politics alone, let's go to 2021 on this day. First Marvel film with an Asian superhero, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, starring Simu Liu, premieres in Los Angeles. By the way, Simu Liu is from Toronto. Next, on this day again in 2021, the first official water shortage is declared at Lake Mead, which is a major reservoir on the Colorado River, supplying 40 million people, with cuts mandated mainly for Arizona. That's where the Boulder Dam is, I think. All right, the last one on my list here is 2022. Section of China's Yangtze River launch weather modification programs due to severe drought conditions, including seeding clouds with silver iodide rods to encourage rain. So, folks, if you didn't think that they were messing with our weather, you're wrong. Many countries, including the US, are playing with our weather, and everyone's blaming climate change. These morons are putting stuff in the air to try and change our weather, and here we are paying a tax because of that, blaming it on climate change. But enough of politics. That is my last story and comment. For On This Day in History, it was my pleasure researching this and reporting it all back to you. I hope you enjoyed it. Do we have any questions or comments, or anyone else that would like to check in at the last minute? Here we are at 10:12 p.m. on the Amateur Radio Exchange Group. This is VA3CJZ. Please come now. I don't think we're going to go through our entire list again. We've got 22 check-ins tonight, including a couple on YouTube. I haven't checked it recently to see if any more have checked in, but with that, we're going to wrap it up unless anyone else has any comments or anything they'd like to say. Please come now. Now's your chance. Okay, well, it's been a blast. We've done another AREG net successfully with 22 check-ins. Geez, I think that's a record. I'm not sure, but it's pretty close. I think actually on one of the old anniversaries, I think we did like 41. So it's not quite the record. But as far as normal every week check-ins, this is right up there. So thank you all for joining me, checking in, participating, listening on YouTube. It was my pleasure, and I look forward to doing it again next week. And so have a great rest of the week, and I look forward to hearing from you again on the next Amateur Radio Exchange Group. This is Victor Alpha 3, Charlie Juliet Zulu, saying so long and 7-3. Good night, all.
Mention Elvis Presley dying today.
Or BQRT.
Okay, Rick and Kevin, what was that?
Great job. Don't forget to get the garbage out.
That's right. Kevin, what did you say?
Oh, it's all right. The popular guy straightened me out.
I thought I was the popular guy. No, I'm just kidding. Yep, garbage night. Last week was not a good day for pickup. My bag exploded and I had to pick up the grass out front. So we're going to try not to do that again. All right, thanks, folks. I have to take a break. So thank you again. Look forward to chatting with you all again very, very soon. This is VA3CJZ saying 7-3 and signing off. I now return the frequency back to regular amateur use. Thank you.
Chuck has left the building.
Yep. Good night.